So we got a fun one today, and it took me an unusually long time to type the script because I was doing so on this guy. This is a Preonic. It's an Ortholinear 50% board from Drop and OLKB. It comes in a kit. You have to put it together yourself. So it's a learning curve from start to finish. You ready? Let's go. Yo, I'm Brian P. You're watching BadSeed Tech, and today we're checking out the Preonic Ortholinear keyboard from Drop and OLKB. For transparency, they did send this out for review, but as you should know by now, doesn't affect my review in any way. So the Preonic is a weird animal, for sure, for so many reasons. As you can see, it's a grid layout, it doesn't have any backlight to speak of, no RGB, it's hot swap, it has a speaker. Yeah, a speaker, and it arrives as a kit that you have to put together. And I have to apologize here because I don't have any information on pricing or availability. All I can tell you is that if you're seeing this video, chances are you'll be able to score one of these relatively quickly, so just keep an eye on the description. So you pick from a variety of aluminum or acrylic case colors and switch types, and it arrives with the case, the hardware, a little wrench, the plate, a braided USB-C cable, and the PCB, black in this case. Hot swap sockets are Kale, connection here is USB-C. The PCB supports both plate and PCB mount switches, so you don't have to clip any stems. The key set it ships with is called Acute. We'll talk more about that in a minute. This board shipped out with Kale box whites, not really a clicky guy, so I'm going with GAT silent inks instead. Instructions here are pretty limited because it's a pretty straightforward operation. You can assemble this board either with a floating plate or what they call the more secure version. It was my first time. I was feeling a little insecure, so I went with the more secure route. In reality, it's 5 screws and 10 nuts. It's an absolute cakewalk. They also use plate mount stabilizers here, and I was going to use my Zeal PC stabs, but I wanted you to have a more realistic impression of what you're going to get when you order the kit. The bottoms were already flat, so they didn't need to be clipped. They did have some stock lube on them, but it was pretty jank, so I just did a little lube job with some Krytox 205. You have a few options for the spacebar area here, and this is really the only mistake I made in the process. Because they included 2 stabs in the box, my brain automatically went to using 2 spacebars. In reality, you can use 2, you can use 1 in the middle surrounded by keys, you can just do 4 single unit keys all the way across for a complete grid. Turns out there is no wrong answer because the PCB supports all of that, but I felt that if I was learning a new layout from the ground up, I wanted to start with the basics. Only 2 things really stuck out to me during the build process, which literally takes all of about 15 to 20 minutes. Number 1, the switches fit in this plate super tight, and it's kind of sharp. This isn't really an issue until you go to remove the switches. I pulled a few clean in half using the RamaWorks puller. The puller included with the Alt was a much better tool for the job. The second and related thing is that this board goes together a lot easier than it comes apart. I don't know if it has to do with the tolerances on the small hardware or what, but things got stuck, they needed some force, it got dicey there for a sec. So once you get this thing loaded up with switches, you need to figure out what keycaps go where. They include a little legend for the alphas, and the positioning of the alpha characters is pretty much the same as you'd find on a standard board. Then you get to the mods. They're listed as text mods in the manual. That's cool, except the included key set has icons for mods. The only way I could solve this mystery was to go to the pics on Drop's site and place mine accordingly. So you got a new layout to learn, and you have a little translation to do with the mods. Some of them are obvious, some of them are not. The Acute kit is PBT, dye sub, OEM profile, comes with extra accents for the gray mods. You get doubles in purple and orange. It's a nice touch. These are really thick and they're very smooth to the touch. Also, I'm not too proud to admit when I don't know something that seems obvious. So, you ever see someone's spacebar like this on their custom board and thought, man, I wonder how they have that mounted to do that. It's just rotated. It's literally just upside down. Feels really ergonomic too. Try it. So everything together, I plugged it in, fired it up, and made this little noise. And that's how you know you're good to go. The first thing I did was test all the keys, and they were all good to go on the first go. The second thing I did was to fully embrace the fact that I've learned some atrocious typing habits over the years. See, the keys might be in the same order as a standard board, but they're not in the same position, obviously. See, there's layer systems that work here that you access with the raise or lower buttons, and that gives you function layer access to different commands. The whole idea is that the keys come to you. You don't move your hands around the board. So if you've developed a habit of like hunt and peck with your 2 main fingers and only using your pinky for like shift every once in a while, oh man, are you gonna have a bad time. Those GAT inks are amazingly smooth. I'm not even really a linear guy. They feel phenomenal. Now, if you're feeling fancy, you can also upgrade to a Mito canvas set for this board. It comes with alphas and text mods, but the mods are only in like the muted blue-gray, so it looks a little bland. I went on Mech Market and copped some colored Micon ortho mods and the Keyluminati to spice things up a little bit. The canvas set is XDA profile, so it's going to be flat front to back. Cool look, but it ups the learning curve even a little bit more. Case here feels solid. There is some ping on this board. It's honestly not as much as I thought it was going to be, but if this were going to be my daily driver, I would definitely treat this with some sound dampening. Fully assembled, it weighs just under 650 grams on my scale. There's no incline, 4mm bezels all around, and it's just high enough to line up with the bottom of the keycaps. It gets really slidey on the desk too, especially on a desk mat. They do give you 4 little rubber feet to help out with this. So the thing about this board over the plank board, their even smaller offering, is that you get an extra row. Numbers in this case. So it feels like there's a lot available right at surface level, even arrow keys, but you still find yourself going to the layers often, and they're not exactly intuitive. The biggest thing that throws me off is the position of the inner key. Of course, how I would personally use a keyboard like this is just the tip of the iceberg. I wouldn't really go to it for editing. It's not really a gaming keyboard. This is designed for guys that type all day, like coders, guys whose brains run faster than their fingers, and they're constantly looking for ways to make that process more efficient. So it makes sense that this board is also extremely programmable and customizable via QMK. It comes with a stock firmware already installed that's fine for the everyday user. So that's a door you never have to open if you don't want to. But with QMK, you can go as deep as your coding skills can carry you. The PCB is also designed to support people who want to customize. So you'll find footprints on the board that add stuff like LEDs, case LEDs, not per key lighting, Bluetooth modules, rotary encoders, dip switches, you name it. This board can get as absolutely nerdy as you want to. It really is a cool little board, really is. It's certainly not for everybody. It's not a gaming keyboard. There's no RGB. It's for enthusiasts for sure. I'm not sure if it makes a lot of sense for me personally to learn a new keyboard layout from the ground up right now, but with the right end user in mind, I think this thing's a winner. It sure has a lot of character and it feels built really solid. Again, hopefully by the time you see this, we've got some updated info on pricing and availability. As always, questions on anything, hit me in the comments or drop by the Discord. And that's it for this time. I'm Brian P. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, hit that sub button. And until next time, stay up.